Other news for you this evening, the Bridgeport NAACP speaking out today about a local police officer who they say should not be back on the force due to his history of violence. News 12 Connecticut's Frank Recchia with the story.
This is really harmful.
Domestic violence survivor Dr. Immaculate Can says she still experiences, quote, startling PTSD triggers a full 35 years after breaking free from an abusive relationship. So she says when she learned that a Bridgeport police officer with a history of domestic violence was back in uniform after receiving a pardon, she was concerned.
As a victim of domestic violence myself, it is really imperative that the community and also the chief of police is taking this very seriously because this is really harmful to our community.
Can is one of several members of the Bridgeport NAACP speaking out today in support of a letter to Mayor Joe Ganim written by the Bridgeport Guardians, a group of black police officers. The letter saying the officer in question is this man, Paul Carey, who appeared in uniform at a public function over the weekend.
Domestic violence is a serious crime, and if you do that in your own home, imagine what you're going to do in a community that's predominantly black and brown.
The letter goes on to say that Officer Carey getting his job back after receiving a pardon is an example of, quote, white officer privilege. A privilege NAACP President D. Stanley Lord says would never be extended to an officer of color.
If it had been an officer of color, he probably would have been fired on the spot. He had a past history of alleged abuse towards our citizens of color, and so we are totally against the fact that he is now back on the force.
Can, meantime, saying on top of everything else, Carey was in violation of police procedure at this event over the weekend because he was not wearing his badge and name tag as required. The city of Bridgeport, meantime, declining to comment on the story.
He should not be part of the force, and he's already raised the issue of inequity.
In Bridgeport, Frank Recchia, News 12, Connecticut.
It's important to note Officer Carey was never fired by the city. He was moved to an administrative role since the time of his arrest and conviction on charges of threatening and breach of peace in 2015. Following his pardon in 2020, he was then allowed to apply for recertification without having to repeat police academy.